All right, y'all. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is live. We have some technical difficulties, and y'all know that's not like us to get started this late. We running about 10 minutes behind, but we will absolutely make sure that we make it up to you. We got a big show. We celebrating Veterans Day by having a veteran in the building with us tonight for the duration of the show. We got a special guest with us on the live line. We got What the Hell. We talking about Incognito, and Big Rube's got the round table. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J is right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
If they lying, then you must be half stepping. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is back once again for a live show. Be down with us. 804-402-2893. Be down with the flagship show right here on LegacyInternetRadio.com. We apologize for the technical difficulties that we had at the top of the show. They knew I was going to get radical tonight, so they trying to shut us down. But you know what? I ain't going nowhere. We right here. Ain't no half step with Marcus J, the flagship show. Be down with us at 804-402-2893. So since we lost a little time on the top, we ain't going to waste no time getting around the room with the salutations. First person I'm going to introduce, joining me on the live line, my brother, my partner, my friend. We got K-Dub joining us. What's up, bro?
Peace and blessings to everybody. What's good, everybody?
We doing fabulous, man. Thank you for joining us here. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We're going to keep it moving. I had teased at the top of the segment that we had a veteran in the room with us, and Legacy Internet Radio's own Miss Tony is in the building. She is indeed a veteran of the United States military. What's going on, girl?
Hello, I'm so happy to be back.
Yes, man. We didn't have you last month, your normal spot, but we're definitely glad to have you back here tonight. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Well, we're going to get to your veteran status here in a moment. And, of course, joining me, as he does every single week, is my main man, my partner. I got Big Rube.
Yo.
Big Rube.
Yo.
What's up, brother?
Not much, man. Just chilling.
It's good to see you, man. It's glad to have you back in here. I'm glad to be able to do the show. We got the whole crew here for the night. We're down SY again, and hopefully we'll have her back here soon. Hopefully she's out there listening, and she knows that we are definitely thinking about her here at Legacy Internet Radio. But with the crew that we have here, let's move around and get everybody's thoughts on Veterans Day. And I'm going to save the veteran for last. K-Dub, it's Veterans Day today, man. What's your thoughts?
It's a day of service. You know, it's a day that we, as residents of this country, show our veterans love, which in actuality we should just recognize them on just with this one particular day. But again, it's one day just to recognize them and show them that we do care. And, you know, whatever we do as far as thank you or any type of action that we do is definitely not enough in my book. So, again, you know, I said it to a couple friends of mine. Again, I just say thank you for your service, and you're definitely well appreciated.
I can dig it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Big Rube, today is Veterans Day, my man. What you got? What's your thoughts?
You know, I mean, a lot of my family are veterans, and I have some still in. So for me, it's a blessing, and one that they're still here, and we appreciate everything they do for us, because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be free and all the other nice stuff I get to do, because I'm kind of free.
I can dig it. Ain't no half step with Marcus J. And, of course, we have a veteran in the room. And so a couple of things I want to kind of get into with you, Tony. Tell us first which branch of the military you were in and what kind of capacity did you have when you were in?
United States Army, National Guard. Basically, National Guard is kind of, you do 1 week in the month, 2 weeks in the year, but we get deployed just like everybody else when the need arises, whether it's a natural disaster or war or whatever else there is. I held 2 different jobs, official jobs, petroleum supply specialist, which is pumping fuel, not just pumping fuel, but also providing fuel. Of course, nobody moves, nobody eats without fuel. And then unit supplies. So basically, kind of keeping inventory, managing all the unit supply, everything from pens and pencils to vehicles to, chemical masks, all that kind of stuff, everything.
How long were you enlisted?
9 years.
9 years. Wow. So that's definitely a veteran. Well, we thank you, of course, for your service, and we appreciate you sharing your information with us with regards to what you did when you were enlisted. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. All right, let's move on a little bit. One thing I want to kind of get into, Dub, I want you in on this one first. We got the typhoon that's going on out in Asia, Typhoon Haiyan. I'm not sure if that's the correct way to pronounce it, but death toll is rising, man. You and I spent the weekend together down in Charlotte hanging out, so we saw some of the stuff going on the news, and death tolls over 10,000 for what I understand. The United States is looking to send aircraft carrier USS George Washington to the Philippines, which is a U.S. defense official has told Reuters. They hope that can scale up air operations at a time where ground teams are just struggling to try to get to areas where roads are impassable and bridges are destroyed. We have an idea of what this must be like, both of us, of course, being from Jersey City, New Jersey, and we weren't directly affected by Hurricane Sandy, but of course we know some people that were. So just tell me real quick what your thoughts are as we watch these things unfold on a day like Veterans Day, where a lot of our veterans are actually on the ground, in the air, as we should say, as I just stated, over there in Asia trying to help out. What do you think?
Well, it's a sad situation, 10,000. I mean, I know for a fact that the number is definitely going to go. It's going to escalate. The Philippines is really in a weird, I won't say a weird, but an unfortunate position within the world from something that I saw earlier today. Out of the top 10 storms, the Philippines have had the top 3 and 5 of the top 10 worst storms in the world. Tornadoes or typhoons. So, just to be in that part of the world, it's real sad. You look at the Philippines and basically it's surrounded by water. So and just looking at some of the pictures today, it was real sad to see, because it's almost like a situation where no matter what, there was really not a lot that they could do. They just basically were at the mercy of that storm. And it may even speak to a bigger issue of, the strength of a lot of storms that we're starting to see over the past decade, and seeing, how much stronger can a lot of these storms get.
Big Roo, what's your thoughts on what's going on over there, man?
I mean, it's sad. It's real sad, but we do what we do all the time. We help everybody who needs help and stuff like that. And in times like this, I'm glad that we do that. Right now it's all about prayer, and hopefully the amount of lives that are lost are very minimal, not super, super crazy as they normally can get.
Tony, as a person who served in the military, and you see that our troops are working hard to assist the folks there in Asia, what do you think about what's going on over there, especially when we've seen catastrophes here on our own land here with Katrina happening down in New Orleans, and of course Sandy? We just had the anniversary of Sandy last week. What's your thoughts?
Kind of twofold. I was actually in South Florida when Katrina hit, and of course, we all know what happened in Louisiana, and, I think the government dropped the ball there. So one can say that, well, at least now, maybe they're trying to do a better job of getting out and helping people in the event of disasters. Or you can flip that and say, well, they didn't help here, but, now you got people over in the Philippines who are, they're trying to recover from this disaster, and they were quick to send people that way. But, I just feel like, like Ruben said, certainly it's great that we can help in times like these. I think everybody should pitch in times like these. This is something that no one can control, and we just have to kind of pull in and throw in and try to help one another out.
It's a crazy thing when I see what's going on over there, because when you look at devastation will make two different parts of the world look like the exact same area, and when I was looking at the video and I was looking at some of the news reports, and it's heartbreaking. You're seeing these people. I saw a woman, and she spoke English better than I thought she would, but what she said, she looked right in the camera and said, "This is hell. Like, we are in hell," and it's one of those things where, we can get upset when things calm down, and we can say, what's going on with our government? Why don't they pay attention to what is going on in our hoods and things of that sort? I've talked about Invest in Us Too, which is the program where we're looking to raise money to assist our own people in our own neighborhoods. And I've been talking about that for the last several weeks. But when I'm looking at these people suffering, it's kind of hard for me, to look at that and be like, nah, you know what, we are able, but we're not gonna, because we got some people here that's, sick and stuff. And, while on one hand, I kind of feel that way, but on the other hand, it's just, like, how do you tell these people that you're not going to help them when you already have some people that are already in those regions set up to do other things? To that point, what do you say? KW, you still with us, man?
Oh, you said, I'm sorry. You were referring to me.
I'm sorry. Just kind of speak to, generally when someone who thinks kind of like I think, kind of, when things happen around the world, the general thing is, why don't we kind of take care of our own? But it's hard. It's difficult to see what's going on with those folks and not want to help them. So I just kind of wanted to get your comment on that.
Oh yeah, definitely. You want to help, because that is a person that people are affected in it, and if you have any type of sympathy, kind of tugs at your heart, you want to try to do all things that you can, but then you kind of want to step back and say, okay, I may do X, Y, and Z to help these people overseas who I may never meet, but yet someone that approaches you face to face that's down in their luck or struggling, that may need your assistance, we kind of don't give them the same the same attitude, the same urgency to try to help them out. So sometimes it's an internal battle. I think it does become an internal battle, and at the end of the day, sometimes you have to understand that you can't help everyone. You don't want to be selfish, but you want to also be prudent with a lot of things that you do.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. I want to go ahead and move on to the kind of the biggest story that we all have been seeing going on in the media these days, and that is the Martin versus Incognito story that's going on with the Miami Dolphins. Ironically, the Dolphins played tonight on Monday Night Football, and of course they're on a grand scale. It's Veterans Day. They just spent the whole week on in the news with what's going on with those two, and then they're playing on Monday Night Football. So you really can't write this stuff. It's pretty crazy. Big Rube, why don't you set up what's going on with those folks? Give us the latest. We'll get K-Dub's opinion, Tony's opinion, kind of talk about it.
Well, we talked a little bit about last week, basically how there is apparently a player bullying another player, and we all give our personal opinions about that. Now, of course, this week Incognito comes out and says, well, it hasn't always been like this. I didn't realize what I was doing was bullying, because we're brothers and stuff like that, and maybe I should have thought about some certain terms and words I use, but this is not a bullying tactic. This is not me saying I'm bullying him and things as such. And I vehemently deny that he denies that he's racist, because he dropped the N-bomb a couple times in some text messages and voicemails that they discovered. So right now this dude's kind of fighting for his NFL career, because you get labeled something like that, you're pretty much done.
It's just crazy. K-Dub, what's your thoughts on what's going on, man?
Man, I think that there's so many different layers to this that a lot of people may and may not understand. You and I had a discussion about this over the weekend, and I kind of made mention to something that I heard that's very adequate is that, you have a situation where you're trying to find out what's going on in particular. What's being said, what type of mindset is being had by a number of the teammates. Is this something that goes on within most professional, or I should say athletic locker rooms, whether it be professional, college or high school? It also speaks to the relationship between two individuals that may be different, i.e. their race or the way that they look. I heard something that, was kind of poignant in this. Do we as a public really want to know everything that goes on in the professional locker room? It's similar to making sausage. It tastes good when we get it. We don't think about how they actually go ahead and make that sausage. So, the product on the field or on the court, it looks good. But, do we really want to know what goes on internally within the locker room? And I can say as an athlete that played college basketball, granted not in the professional ranks, but I'm positive and I'm quite sure that it happens on the professional ranks. There's a lot of things that are said. There's a lot of attitudes. There's a lot of ways that individuals on a team may treat each other that the general public would not understand, nor could they fathom. So, it speaks to, this is just a microcosm of a lot of different layers, and I'm going to tell you something that a week from now, maybe even 10 days from now, there's going to be another revelation that's going to come out, and it's going to have you, raise your eye as well. So I would just say, if you really want to know, be prepared. Be prepared for what you're going to hear or what may come out.
Tony,
we haven't heard anything from Martin as of yet.
Tony, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like and I think you guys talked about this last week as well, and, certainly I heard this actually, I think it was on another syndicated radio show about workplace bullying. I mean, it happens, I think, in different types of places of business. It's the football team. If you work in corporate America in an office environment, maybe it'll be maybe a little more subtle because HR, is kind of more on those things. But I think that it takes place everywhere. And it's important that the people who are involved actually say something about it and not let it get to the point where it's this huge, massive, just chaotic event that it happens and we need to do something about it. Whether, it's going to start small, maybe it might start off jokingly, but it can elevate to the point where, where this incident is today. So
I got myself into a discussion with someone recently where we were not on the same page with regards to what we think about this story. This particular person was telling me about they were comparing their own personal office politics and how, Incognito may have been, I guess because he was a veteran, he had more stature. And so the fact that Martin, was I guess in the analogy that this person was using, a newer person at the company, is part of the reason why maybe he's the one that has felt somewhat ostracized. I came under fire a bit last week when I came out and I very strongly mentioned how, you're a grown man. You're a grown 6'3", 300-pound man, and I just don't see how it's acceptable for you to be bullied. Like the phrase bullying I couldn't even really wrap my brain around how a man that size could be bullied by another man who's the same size as him, especially on the football field. And the more I hear about this story, the more I'm feeling even more steadfast in my opinion, because Dub, I want you to pick back up right here, because we're hearing now about the fact that he and Martin Incognito, were the best friends on the team. Apparently Incognito was the only one who really dealt with Martin because he wasn't well liked in the locker room. They were talking to each other. This way was a common way. There's text messages that came out even after this blew up last week. Apparently Martin reached out to Incognito and told him that he ain't even mad at him. It's the culture of the locker room. And then the fact that there's 1,100 text messages between them. over the course of a year. Now, Dub, you and me, we've been friends since we was 3 and 2 years old. But I don't see how there's any way two dudes text each other 1,100 times in a year. I was listening to another syndicated talk show host kind of talk about this morning, and I kind of agree with him. Pick up there and kind of tell me, based on what your knowledge is of locker rooms, am I off base in thinking that Martin is a big ass punk?
Well, no, you're not totally off base. We as a community think that football players are these big bad mean guys that should be able to withstand anything. But we do know people that size that are they soft as teddy bears on the inside or whatever. Just because you may play a particular physical sport doesn't mean that you're hard all day long 100% of the time. We all do have feelings, and it's just real quirky how that relationship is. Again, I definitely would like to hear what Martin's perspective and his description of everything that goes on, and I believe that it will definitely change the way that we're looking at this and the way that we're analyzing this particular situation. But again, I say, there's certain things and certain attitudes, certain ways that people interact with each other within a locker room that within society, it may be looked at as kind of weird. It may be looked at as, why would you allow this person to say X, Y, Z? Why would you allow this person to do these things? But I think that everybody is analyzing this particular scenario, but until we hear from Martin himself, we won't really have the full picture of what's going on. But what really strikes me is that, if you listen to a lot of the players that have played with the Miami Dolphins or what have you, you'll hear, or better yet, I should say even Incognito, is that a lot of people have come to the defense of Incognito. I personally have not heard not one person say anything in regards to the character of Martin and, or sympathize with him. Yesterday, you and I saw someone that is associated with football, and he said that if it was him or his squad, he would say he would get rid of the bully and the baby.
Yeah,
I would not. I don't have any issue with that.
No, I don't have any issue with that either. That was Mike Ditka who actually said that. We were watching SportsCenter yesterday morning together. Let me just, I'm gonna get Tony back in here, but let me just address one of the things that you said. I mean, the fact that no one is coming to the aid of Martin or coming out to speak on his behalf, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we celebrate aggressive personalities here in this country. We celebrate, I shouldn't say celebrate, but the aggressor is, we live in a time where we always kind of are down on the victim. You know what I mean? Like a woman gets raped and the first question you ask is, well, why does she have that outfit on? Or what was she doing that made her look appealing that way, or something along those lines? Tony, I want you to pick up there. What's your comment?
I mean, again, it really depends on the environment, just like K-Dub said, it's a locker room. These are big football players, it's a lot of it is a banter that goes back and forth. Okay, it's Veterans Day, in basic training, it was acceptable to do a blanket party. Somebody's not doing what they're supposed to do. It was okay for, all the girls or all the guys to get together at night and beat them up. That's okay. That's not okay in corporate America. For example, I have an associate who I feel is bullied by her manager. I feel like he's a bully. I mean, all the signs except for they're not kids, which, the things that he says, just disrespectful and, I mean, all out, why didn't you do this? Just everything that she does is wrong. And, short of teasing her, straight out teasing her, they have that sort of relationship. And I don't see that as being okay. She, just like a child who's being bullied, she feels helpless. There's nothing I can do. I've tried this, just because this guy is my manager, there's really nothing I could do but take it. As I stated earlier, I was listening to another radio show last week, and there's actually a website about workplace bullying, and it tells you, what steps you can take to alleviate it, I guess some other resources to help deal with it or things like that, which really goes to show you, there's a website for everything nowadays, but clearly it's an issue that extends beyond, school age, I think.
One thing that I want to add to this, Dub, I want your opinion after Ruben. Ruben, I want you on this one first. Anybody that knows me knows that I am a strong opponent against the use of the N-word, and I don't like it used at all. I don't want to hear anybody using it, but I am especially disturbed when black folk use it to refer to themselves. And when you do that, you allow people who may not have your best interest at hand to you allow them to disrespect you with that word. Having said that, if you go into any kind of sports locker room, I would be willing to bet my year's salary that word will fly around so frequently that probably more than any other word, black guys saying it to black guys saying it to white guys, and white guys saying it to black guys. When you allow that license, I have a hard time taking you serious when you get offended when someone calls you that. With that being said, Ruben, I want you to comment on the whole so-called racial aspect of it, because I gotta be honest with you. Let me just add this last piece. I watched the interview with Richie Incognito, and I came away from it. I thought he was a little bit disingenuous when he said that he would hug the guy. You're not gonna hug the guy who just made you look like a kind of a jackass. But everything else he said, I believed him personally. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I'm a kind of go back to last week. I think it's a whole bunch of garbage. Don't get me wrong. I honestly feel like somebody else is involved in this. I don't feel like he did this himself, because you're right. In sports, I didn't play a big sport, but I played sports. And, depending on where you are, some things get flown around. It is what it is. But I'm not in a full belief that this dude did this on his own volition. Just because I honestly think they are friends. I think something happened. I think somebody else got offended and he was forced to do something. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was a significant other or whatever. I just don't feel like that in this day and age, not even this day and age, just in a sport like football, this is going to be a huge issue. Because you got to feel some kind of way to come out of like this. And then at that point in time, I just don't feel like something's right with this. I don't feel that he did this himself. I feel like there's somebody behind him in his ear talking to him, because it doesn't make sense. The dude graduated from Stanford University. The dude played D1 ball. The dude went to the Dolphins. Now the money stuff, I completely understand why he's pissed about the money stuff. Because if I had to drop $15,000 and I won't get paid nothing, I'd be pretty pissed. First of all, I wouldn't have done it, and that is what it is. But all this other stuff, I don't think he is the one behind it. I think there's a Jiminy Cricket on his shoulder. I don't know who it is, but I can't believe that this dude, Richie Incognito, has all this stuff. Hey, we used to talk to each other like this. Now, I'm not saying that Incognito's not an asshole, because he probably is. However, I don't feel that, I don't feel like this is what this is. This is something else. And I don't know who's behind it, but I don't think it's Morgan.
Dub, I want you to get in on this as far as the usage of the N-word and how all of that kind of plays into it, how we as black men give other cultures the license to use that word because of how much we use it to each other and directly to what do you say to that?
Here's the thing. What we have to not understand, but let's just take a step back. One, the people that are upset about this have nothing to do with this. It's media driven. And once the media gets to it and they get comments from this person, then that basically starts that engine. Again, we have yet to hear from Martin. From what we understand from the text messages, he communicated with Incognito just days after he left the team. He left the team without even saying what was going on. You know, all of this came through because people the media, I should say, started to peck and poke at it or what have you. And again, we still haven't heard anything from Martin. He has had and still has a relationship with Incognito and made mention to, it's not you. And if I'm paraphrasing, it's not you, it's the culture of the locker room. Now, if Incognito and any other individual on that team that is African American, that may even be gay or what have you, if they did not step up to say, hey, don't use that word to describe me or don't use that word around me, then basically it's like a way of condoning without even, it's passively condoning it. That's i.e. if you are a homosexual or whatever and you're in a group environment and individuals are using the word gay and faggot and so on and so forth, if you don't step up and say, yo, that's I don't need to hear that, I would respect you if, you know, when I'm around not using that particular term, if you don't say anything, I think that is kind of passively accepting it and just saying, hey, you know, go ahead with it. It's kind of hard that, you know, out of 60 days, I'm just using a example, out of 60 days, you know, you hear this particular term 59 of those days, but that one day, you know, it's kind of hard on the 60th day to say, yo, you know, I don't want to hear it no more when you've allowed it to go on for such a long period of time. So again, I kind of get back to what you were saying about, you know, using the N-word or what have you, you know, it probably would be more, I guess we could be more just hone in on it if we heard Martin say that, hey, I didn't like that they did that. But I got one more thing to say also. How do you keep text messages from a year ago from your boy?
I don't know.
You just don't.
Question in anybody's head? I mean, from a year ago, you got text messages. I don't know anyone that saves text messages from a year ago. People barely keep text messages from a week ago.
I'll say if you never erase it, they're there. I mean, if you got a legit smartphone like an iPhone or a good Android, it doesn't matter. And if you never erase anything,
I'm speaking more of the direction of why.
I mean, I don't think it's a why. I think it's, well, I just never deleted them.
No, I disagree with that. I think that it's very strange that you got a dude that kept text messages from another dude from a year ago. I'm sorry, that's weird. That's just weird to me. Voicemails, text messages.
I disagree with that. I got text messages from you from probably a year and a half ago.
And I still think that's weird. You're weird for keeping it.
Because it's not about me keeping it. It's about me not erasing it.
Right, and especially if it's somebody you have an ongoing.
Okay. You may keep a text message from, let's say, someone that may have passed away. You might even keep a nice text message from a lady friend or a guy friend that might have said something kind of sweet or what have you. But if you're keeping text messages that are very derogatory, that are, you know, demeaning or what have you, if it was a joke or not a joke, I don't really see the meaning. I don't see the rationale behind holding on to a text message from 2012, when if in fact this particular text message is saying you have an N, I'm gonna smack your mother in the mouth and I'm gonna kill you, and that's just an example of one of the text messages. I'm quite sure that there's other messages that are probably along that line or even worse. So it will raise the question to me: why are you keeping text messages from someone that quote unquote is bullying you from a year?
And I ask you this, Dove. How often do you change it? How often do you get rid of your text messages?
I'm sorry, how often what?
How often do you clean your text messages?
Maybe a week, a month. No, not a month. Maybe a week or two.
Okay. I feel I can say this as being working. I had a job for 9.5 years on the other side of the counter. Average people don't clear out their text messages. If they don't disappear on their own, they're always there. If their phone is capable,
your text message don't rule?
What I'm saying, I'm telling you that the average person does not clean out their text messages.
I'm looking at my phone. I have one as old as January 12th of this year.
Yeah.
Get a new phone?
The average person does not clean out their text messages.
Yeah, I mean, if it's somebody
Okay,
that
he's
you
not
have,
average then. We can't say that. I can't. You know what, Rube? I hear what you're saying, but I don't know if I can sign up for what you're saying.
I think it's one of those things.
And just to let you know, I work in the cell phone industry. So I deal with people that deal with cell phones. And you know that messages either get lost, you have to reboot your phone, you might have to do an update, you may even get a new phone. But again, my thing is, I understand people may do that, the average person. But my question is, you're having this debate, you're having this, I guess you could say this interaction with one particular person that is quote unquote bullying you. How are you why? What is your intention of holding a text message from a year ago? And keep in mind, he's a professional athlete, so I'm quite sure that there's a number of other people that text him as well.
But you're assuming that the average person clears their text messages. Like, I used to work in the cell phone industry for 9.5 years. Trust me, the average person does not clear their text messages.
All right, well, we'll have to agree to disagree. I don't want to spend a long amount of time going back and forth on that point. You got two of us that think it's crazy to have a text message from a year and a half ago, and we got two of you who disagree, so we'll leave it as a draw. One thing that I do want to kind of address, kind of the monkey in the room, is the fact that there are some people that are alluding to a potential homosexual relationship between the two of them. To that, Dub, you say what?
I really don't care. Well, I won't say I won't care, but I say it like this. If, in fact, that does come out, that would answer a lot of questions. It could, and then at the end of the day, this basically is a lover spat. Two individuals, and there may be a third individual that's involved.
That's what I was thinking. The third individual may have been the one that became unhappy and somehow blew it up with Martin. I don't know, and to be honest with you, I question whether it's a homosexual type of deal, but that has been something that's been thrown around. So I figured at least we would address it. Rube, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's very possible, and it's probably not the homosexual between Incognito and Martin. Martin could be homosexual, and his partner didn't like the stuff that was talking because his partner's not in that life in the industry. So he doesn't understand how he can allow him, other people in the locker room to throw stuff around like that. And maybe he got offended, and maybe he's like, yo, if you don't do something about it, we done. And he's got to make a decision.
Tony, what do you think?
I plead the fifth.
She's pleading the fifth on that one. Ain't no half stepping on Marcus J. I mean, you really can't tell. You can't tell, one way or the other. I mean, Dub, you said it before. We really aren't going to know until Martin comes out and actually says something. But I remain steadfast in my opinion that the way he bowed out makes him a punk. It just does. And as bad as the bully was, Incognito in this situation, we're not talking about a couple of kids. We're talking about a couple of grown men. And somebody said to me in a conversation I was having with them, everybody doesn't have the pit bull type of personality, and I understand that. But at the same time, don't let nobody take your manhood from you like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Inside joke. But seriously, don't let nobody punk you like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just don't understand how we're supposed to believe or accept that, someone who has gotten this far and made it to the National Football League, whose job it is to protect the most prized possession on the field, and that person is going home and quitting his job because somebody was mean to him. That's sorry. I have a hard time with that.
Just like men who are abused by their wives.
Mark,
it's possible.
To be honest, man, there's a lot of people that, have those issues that, that if we don't have those, we can't really understand how it feels to be in their particular shoes. And again, he may be a sensitive guy that, maybe it just got to him.
I suppose it's possible, but for me, there's certain things that you can do or say that you nip stuff in the bud. And then the other thing is, with it going on, you mean to tell me nobody else in that locker room saw that this was going on and nobody stood up for this dude? You know what I mean? And that leads me to believe that it's possible because this is an angle that we haven't even gotten into last week or this week. But Ruben, it's possible that Incognito was told to toughen him up. That came out a little bit after we went off of the air last week. Toughen this kid up, see what he's about. And so I don't know. I mean, when I heard Bill Parcells on the radio last week, he said that he told Lawrence Taylor to see about Jumbo Elliott. And I would guess that more often than not, coaches give directives to players that may not be, shall we say, consistent with what the league office would like. I mean, this is what Bounty Gate was about last year. So what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's highly possible. I personally, at this point in time, I don't think it's a football thing. I think it's something else. And I think, unfortunately, this came into the football world, and now the football world, of course, you have all those bleeding heart. You shouldn't be doing it, man. I don't give a crap about y'all. It's sports. It's man sports. It happens. Doesn't make it right? No, but it is what it is. And like I said, I think either last week or the week before that, there are just some things that we don't need to know, period. As people in the public, we don't need to know some things. And I believe I got so much pushback from that, that day. Here it is. Do I really care about Incognito? I don't. I think this is stupid, number one. I think the media has completely run with this. And you know what? So what? What if Martin is gay? Big deal. So what? It's another dude coming out in the locker room who's gay. I'm sorry, it's not going to change the price of tea in China for me. To me, this story has gone on longer than it probably should have. Yes, Cognito's probably an asshole, and I'll probably give him that. He looks like an asshole, but you know what? They clearly had a friendship, and it's clearly not one of them doing this. It's another party. Like I said, there's always an option C, and I think option C came into play here.
Ain't no half stepping, Marcus J. K-Dub, I want you to get the final word on this, man. What's your...
Hey, yeah, you know what, man? As Rube was talking, and I'm sitting here watching ESPN or what have you, I'm going to throw a scenario out there that it could possibly be it. I could be 180 degrees across from it. Could it be a situation that maybe Martin... He may be homosexual, he may not. But if we do say that is the case, could it be a situation where everybody in the locker room may know this? They get on him, maybe throw jokes out there, so on and so forth, and maybe this guy Incognito is the closest person to him, and he has that particular friendship. Now, we also know that within football and other sports, sometimes you need your teammate to get you kind of turned up. They need to get you started. So maybe these particular things that they talk about where he insults him, maybe those are the things that he did to Martin to kind of get him riled up so that they can be a better team, a better offensive line, so on and so forth. Could that be the scenario? It's a plausible scenario. Don't nobody else know exactly what went on other than Incognito and Martin. So maybe that could be the situation. Because, again, nobody has come to the defense of Martin. Everybody has come to the defense of Incognito.
Yeah, I find it very odd that no one has decided to stand up for this kid at all. And, the sad part about it is, the more I hear about this, when I first heard it last week, I was like, yo, Incognito's probably never going to play in the league again. And I'm already sure. I think it's kind of a no-brainer that Martin won't play anymore. But I didn't think the Incognito would play. I went from that to thinking that Incognito would probably be on somebody's roster next season. I don't think either of them will play for the Dolphins again, but, we'll have to see what happens. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We're going to take our first break of the night, and when we come back, we got some what the hell that's going to make you say, what the hell? We got this dude in Texas that's in the Tea Party that won an election in the black neighborhood. How'd that happen? You got shot in the face asking for help, and what do you do when your wife produces a bunch of ugly kids? You sue her ass. That's what we getting into. And what the hell? Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Be back in a few minutes.
Tired of wearing that same old raggedy t-shirt to group events, civic, and work situations? Then why don't you check out our folks, Live Action Captions. They offer T-shirt services here in the Richmond and Tri-City area, offering multicolored direct-to-garment printing at an affordable price. Guess what? No charge for changing colors for a design either. Pick and choose whatever you want out of the rainbow. No minimums at all. Discounts at 25 or more. If you'd like to rock one of these hot shirts that we here at Legacy Internet Radio do, then you can get with live action captions at 804-640-7180. Again, that's 804-640-7180. And for all the folks who don't like to use the telly, we got it on the internet at live-action-captions at comcast.net. Again, live-action-captions at comcast.net, and at that same title on Facebook and Instagram. No need to worry about it shrinking. We got you covered. Live Action Captions.
This is Marcus J. of Legacy Internet Radio, and this segment of our show is sponsored by the Doctor of Optometry, Dr. Euphemia Huggins Williams, ODPC. She's my eye doctor, y'all, and she makes sure that everything is great and copacetic with my eyes, making sure I don't have any glaucoma, any cataracts, stigmatism,